Hello everyone, welcome to Coding with Sijas. This is the third video in the UI5 series. If you're coming to this channel for the first time, do subscribe this channel to get updates about the new videos. Also, share this channel with your friends who is interested in learning UI5. In the last video, we learned how to create a simple Hello World application using UI5 module. In this video, we will see how to enhance that application using views and controllers. So here you can see our old application, which we created in the last video. I have created a copy of the code and moved to a folder called archive, which I'll be hosting in GitHub. So I'll provide a link to the GitHub in the description. So let's open index.html and index.js. So here you can see that index.html is still pointing to the index.js, which is our UI5 module. Now let's go and remove the button and the message toast. Also let's remove from here. And we will be moving these code into our view. Now we will add the view. So let's add it by invoking the module sap/UI/core/MVC/XML view. Now XML view have a promise called create. Let's call XML view dot create. We will be giving the view name. So view name equal to, let's call it our app module dot first. So our view name is first, which we need to create, which will be in the module app. Once it is created, then function, it returns a view object, which we will be placing into the content. Now, if you run this application, it will not be working because we haven't created the view name first yet. Let's try that out. I'm opening the terminal and I'm serving the module. I'll copy the URL. I'll create a new instance of browser and I'll save it here. You can see all the files over here. We are interested in web app folder, which has our index.html, which is loaded by default. So if you look at the error page, you can see that app.first.view.xml is not available. Let's go ahead and create it. So right next to the index.html, I need a new view. I'll call it first.view.xml. This is our view. So let's create a view by using MVC view. So you know that in XML we have something called namespace. So we do have to provide a namespace for this. So we will provide XMLN SMVC, which stands for sap.ui.core.MVC. With this, we have created a first view. Now this view needs a controller, so we have to provide the controller name. which is again called first. So let's call it app.first. So we'll go ahead and create a controller right next to first. That's a controller. Now we need to add some additional namespaces for our controls. The first one is the default. So by default, we are setting SAP M as a default namespace. So we'll type xmlns equal to sap.m. So if you set anything as or any library as default, you do not need to add this additional prefix before adding any of the controls. So let's go ahead and add an app. App is nothing but a container. In app, we can add the additional controls which we want to show in the screen. Now we need a page. Even a page is contained in the library M, SAP M library. So let's add a page and we will close the page tab. So now we have an app. Under an app, we have a page. We'll go ahead and add a button like yesterday. Button, text, press, and that's how we add everything. Now let's go here and test it. So now you can see it is trying to get the controller JS, but we haven't defined anything over here. So let's create a controller instance by using sap.ui.define. Controller belongs to sap/ui//mvc/controller. So we get the instance of controller. This is the base controller. Now we need to return an instance back. So return controller dot extend. This is the first controller which we are returning by extending the original controller or the base controller. Now we will call it app.first. And what does it contain? It contains nothing for now. You can see here we got a page with a button press. Let's rename the name. Say hello. Save it. Refresh. We have a save hello method. Now here we'll create a press event handler. So let's call it a function name handle press. With handle press, we can go here and write handle press, which is a function. Now we need to show a toast message like in the last video. So we will add the message toast also. So we'll import the library message toast. Message toast. I'll add it here. And we call message toast dot show hello world. Let's go back and refresh. You can see now this is the application which we created by extending the original one, and we created a view and a controller. Now let's add a title to the page. So page title equal to hello guys. Now we have a page title. Now let's enhance this application further to make a beautiful another one. So for that, we need some additional libraries. So as I mentioned last time, we are loading SAP M library by default. So we need some additional libraries. Let me call it sap.ui.layout. So we need some layout, sap.tnt, also sap.ui.core. So after loading these libraries, we'll go. We are not changing anything in our module because we are still loading the first view. Now let's go ahead and change some more items here. So let's add, as I mentioned, we have added the namespace. Let me move it over here and format the documents. Okay, so let's go ahead and add additional namespaces. So we need one for core. So core is xmlns. Core is nothing but sap.ui.core. We need one for layout. Let's call it xmlns L is pointing to sap.ui.layout. Also we have tnt. Let me call it as t. So xmlns t equal to sap.tnt. Let's format the document. Let's remove the button and let's give this as beautiful UI5 app. Let's give an ID. We will call it as app, and we will add a button here. So I'm creating a button which will be calling this, and let me give a text as navigate. So this will take you to the next screen. So I'll modify this method with this name. What to do, we'll see that later. We will beautify this button by adding a type. And let's see how it looks. So we have a button called navigate in the beautiful app. Now let's create another page. Page ID. Let me call it as intro. Let me close this page. Here, let me add a simple text for now. Say that we are in second screen. If you refresh, you'll be still seeing the first screen because we are inside the first page. So we will give a title for this to say we are at second screen, and let enhance the method go to next screen. So here we will add a code snippet to navigate to the next view. So first we will say we'll show a message toast. Congrats. You are being navigated to second screen. Let's see that first. On refresh. Congrats, you have been navigated to the second screen. Perfect. Now we need to navigate. For that, we will add this dot by ID app. So we have our app as the ID here. So initially the app is taking the first page as a default page. So we need to navigate to intro. So for that, we use by ID app dot to method, this dot by ID intro. So let me explain what is happening here. So this points to the controller. So this dot by ID means you are accessing an object with ID. So app is the ID of your app. So you're saying get the instance of app, and we are calling the to method, and we are navigating to the intro. So intro is another object in the same page where the ID is intro. Let's go and refresh. So you are navigated to the second screen. So it shows a toast message and navigates to the second screen. Now let's go and add some additional layouting here. We'll remove this. So we have a layout object L here, namespace L. So we will add a block layout. So I have a code snippet in my clipboard I have prepared. So I'll just type it here, and you can always copy that from the GitHub. So I'll copy and paste it here, and I'll explain line by line what is happening. So this is our new view. So here, as you have seen, we have a block layout. So let me just format it. And we have a block layout. Oh yeah, I have to move it. Yeah. Now this is properly formatted. So we have a block layout. In a block layout, we have a row, which is block layout row. In that, we have a cell, which is having an icon of SAP UI5. I'll explain how to get these IDs and all from the demo kit in a later video. And we are saying we have a title, which is H1 level, and saying hi. This is UI5 and everything. So let's not use this part for now. So I'll just comment it. So with this, let's go ahead and refresh the application. So we navigate to the second screen. We are getting UI5 icon, which says this is UI5. And we get a panel here, which says yes or no. So as you have seen here, you can see we have a panel, which is asking, are you ready? And expandable true. And we have a switch, which will be calling an onChange method, which is having text as yes or no. And based on the switch, we will show this, what is the content of it. So let's go ahead and enhance our controller. So you have to understand there are some lifecycle method, so which we will explain in the later video, what is lifecycle in UI5 controller. So for now, we just handle with event handlers. So one among the lifecycle method is on init, which will be executed once in a lifecycle of a controller. So if you want to do some sort of initialization, it is to be done here. And let me import a model. So that's a JSON model, SAP/UI/model/ JSON/JSON model. So I'm getting an instance of JSON model. I'm keeping it here. And we will create a data from the JSON model. So I have a code snippet for the data, which I'll be pasting, which is nothing but JSON model is nothing but an object which has an array called features, which has several text in it. So once we get a JSON model, we have to set this to the controller. So we use this dot get view dot get view is a function to get the view instance, set model data. So this is our model data. So there are two ways of setting a model. One is named model and one is default model. So when you use set model with data, it sets a default model. And if you want to give a name, I can give a name like this. So let's initially see how to set a default model and use it. So now we have this, we will uncomment this. So we have flexbox here, and flexbox is another control in UI5. So I'll introduce you to demo kit, where you can understand what are the different type of controls available and how to use them and what are properties, aggregation, etc. So here we have a flexbox which is having an item here. So here, since we have item equal to a model slash, so this is called as a binding. So we have a binding syntax here where it says slash features. So slash points to the default model and features point to the value features over here, the array features. Then we simply have an info label with text equal to each text here. So each object is pointing to the text. So with this, let me just refresh. Oh, we got an error here where it says that first view have an error. Let's see what is the error. The error is we are using something called TNT over here, and this is not defined anywhere. So let's change the T to TNT and come here and refresh. And that's our app. So you can see here, now all these new controls which we discussed has appeared here. Now here, this doesn't do anything. So we need to write a function to it. So we have already mentioned the function called onChange. So let's go ahead and create an onChange function. OnChange, which calls this one. And onChange takes an event handler called oEvent. So this is the event object. Use var state or vstate equal to oEvent dot get parameter state. Now based on this, we need to hide and unhide the horizontal layout ready. So now we just need to say this dot by id ready dot set visible vstate. Now you see, we navigate, we come here and you say yes, let's go, let's get started. So that's all about our application here. So this is nothing but a link which takes you to open UI5 ana.ondemand.com, which is the demo kit which we were talking. Now let's see what is each control stands for. So first we need to understand what is samples. So here you can see we have different type of controls. Some are input controls, some are list controls, some are tables, some are pop-ups, we have messages, we have tiles, we have bars, trees, layouts, and object. So let's see. Let's open our local host in a new tab and go line by line. So you see here, we have an icon here. And how did we bring an icon? We brought an icon using the icon control. So icon belongs to core, which goes to sap.ui.core. So let me open another window over here and let me take that to API reference. So here I can type sap.ui.core, just a second, core.icon. So sap.core.ui.icon is a control which we have used, and icon have, this is the entire documentation of that control. So constructor is basically how to instantiate a new control. So if you are instantiating it through JavaScript, this is how you instantiate, and M settings are nothing but the properties which it takes. So these are the properties. So we had used a property called source, which takes sap.ui.core.uri. So let's see icon pool, which is another app where it talks about different icons. So we have something called icon explorer under tools, where we have all the icons required. Let's go to SAP icons and we'll search for SAP-UI5. So this is the icon we have used. So instead of this, I want to use a different icon, maybe an account icon. So all I need to do is click on account and I get the account URL over here. I can copy it, come here and paste it. So now this is the account, this is the size, all these things you can find it in the properties. So size is another properties by which you can control the size of it. And when you hover on it, if you want to change the background color, you can change it. You can give height, you can give color. So all these you can see over here. We have given color, we have given the source, we have given the size, class, and also the width as 100%. Now let's go back to our application and refresh. And come here, you can see the icon is changed. And we have, this is UI5, which is nothing but a title. So title again belongs to no namespace here, which means it belongs to SAP M control. So we can go here and type sap.m.title. So this is the title control. Again, we can see constructor and you can see different properties available. We have used level as h1. So what are the possible values for the level? You can see it here. It is sap.ui.core.title level, which has different levels of data. Going back, and we can see the text field over here. So this is about a normal control. Now let's talk about what is aggregation and what is association. So when you talk about some controls like table, which can contain more items into it. So aggregation is something like a wrapper, I can say. It's like a wrapper where I can put more controls under it. So let's take an example of a block layout. So if you take a block layout, and if I go to here, this is the block layout control, which has aggregation called content, which is default aggregation. So I have not used any aggregation here because that's a default content, and a content takes block row. So you can see here under a block layout, I have a block row. So I can minimize each block row. So I have two block row and I have a third block row over here. So it takes, so for block layout, the default aggregation is content, which means I don't need to provide the aggregation name. So how do you provide an aggregation? So it's called as L content. I can take it, paste it, and close it. So if I go here and refresh it and come here, there is no change because, as I mentioned, this is the default content or default aggregation and it is not relevant to be provided. So let's go back here. So it takes block row. So let's go to a block row. So what are the properties for the block row? It have scrollable, it have row content set, all these are properties. And again, block row takes default aggregation as a content and the type of the content should be block cell. So if you see here, I expand it, you can see a block cell here. Let me go to block cell. So in block cell, you can see there are certain properties. We haven't used any properties. Again, there is an aggregation, which is content, which is sap.ui.core.control. So what is this? If you look here, this is not control. This is icon, this is title, and here it says sap.ui.core.control. So what you have to understand in UI5, in UI5 there are a lot of base classes. So control is one among the base class, where if you look at the control, you can see it extends element. So element is the one of the base class. So element is actually coming from something called managed object, and managed object is the basic way how you represent an object. So a managed object is the only one which supports binding. So any controls which extends, or any element or any object which extends managed object will support binding. Element is extending managed object, and you can see there are a lot of controls under element. So if you click on subclasses, all these are controls which is inheriting the element. So one among is control, and if you click on control, you can see there is non subclasses called view subclasses, and in all the control you see here is there. So let's go back to block cell and aggregation and control. So anything which is extending control can be put here. So icon is extending. If you look at control, you can see icon is extending. Title, so sap.m.label t, you can see title here. So all these are supported here. So this is nothing but aggregation, and this is nothing but property. So now let's talk about association. Association is something like, it is a different control, but it is not under one. For example, if I have a book, an author is an association to a book. That means both can exist independently, but there is a relationship between them. And I'll show you how to use demo kit. So for example, if you want to see how does each control looks, you can go here. So I want to create a form. I need some input. I can click on input, and these are the different type of inputs here. So I want a normal text input. So I can click input, and these are different kind of inputs. So if you want to have a normal input with description, I can choose it. And this is how a normal input looks. You can click on show source code here. So when you flip it, it shows how you can see or how it is done here. So you can see there are 5 controls here, and when you flip it, you can see there should be 5 controls. Yeah, you can see here there is a vertical layout, and under that you have input, different type of inputs with different width. So guys, that's it for today. So if you have any questions, kindly post comments, and I'll try to respond as much as possible. And thank you guys. See you in the next video.